All right, so I already recorded this video. I'm not sure I want to post it. It was, and I'm not saying this one's going to be any better, but it was pretty bad. So I'm down here near Little River, not actually too far from Manistee. They put in this little roundabout here, and I drove down via M22. I'm gonna actually drive back north via North 31 with the hopes that there'll be less deer. I've seen quite a few deer along the side of the road on M22. There'll still probably be some. It's just that time of evening where they like to kind of move and stuff like that. So I'll have to be very hyper aware of that, but there's other traffic and everything, so maybe they can take the hit for me. So just a casual drive. I just wanted to, you know, do my Sunday drive, relax, wind down. Hopefully you guys have some sort of ritual where you can do that as well. Whether, I mean, there's multiple things you could do. I'm not going to run through the scenarios, obviously. The driving is just one that I used to do and I picked up again recently, which is weird because for my day job, I drive a lot too. So it's weird that, but it's a different kind of driving. I don't have a destination necessarily. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I like to show you guys different sites or different roads and everything. Typically, I would say US 31 is definitely not the best scenic road, but if you're from areas that don't have a whole lot of rural areas, then sure, US 31 might be great for you. I mean, as you get up here, there's a couple little towns on it, but I mean, there's obviously the corn is growing really well right now, so corn is a big thing right now. And then everything's green and lush looking, even though we have not had as much rain as we would like, but everything is still really green in northern Michigan. So watch on wrist, if you can see that, it's a Zinn 104 white dial. Picked this up from my buddy Joe, who got introduced to via another buddy, Greg. And I think it's important to, if you're going to be in a hobby, definitely, I mean, we can speak about the watch hobby because this channel is primarily about watches, but even in the car hobby, I'm starting to rekindle some connections and making more friends. And there goes the sheriff, Manistee County Sheriff, doing his job, running the road, making sure everybody's, you know, whatever they do. So anyway, making those connections and having those contacts, and I think that's a fundamental part of enjoying any hobby. Sure, you can do it without it, but dang it, that's lonesome. Don't do that. I think definitely have a few buddies, whether you have like a nice little clique, or if you want to like venture out into the interwebs and try to shuffle through that. There's a varying degree of ways to enjoy the hobby on the internet as well, whether you want to be a conspiracy theorist or you know, a negative Nancy, or you know, get yourself involved with a positive community like myself and a lot of like-minded people have created on my private Discord. There's other groups out there, Facebook groups and everything like that, that are definitely more positive. And I think that's, personally, that's my journey. That's the way I like to use, or you know, view life and enjoy the things I like. I don't understand drama. Drama doesn't play well. So it just, sure, it can be exciting occasionally, and you'll have that even in a positive group. You will have that excitement of drama occasionally. Trust me, it will still, it's part of the internet and society and everything like that. So that'll still occur. If you like a little bit of it, it will be there. So I recently watched a couple of videos that I want to talk about briefly. I'm driving. I did the wrist check. I got to do the car check. I'm driving my 2023 Honda Civic Si FE1 chassis, 1.5 liter turbo, around 200 horse, 6-speed manual trans. Just a good all-around car. I would say that it is the best Honda Civic Si to date. And I know some people might argue with me against that, but there's a lot of weak points. There's been weak points with Honda Civic SIs throughout every generation of them. This one, I've owned a bunch of them. This one is the best one they've made. So, and you can still mod it. I'm modding it. I've done a few mods. I'm going to do some more mods. But anyway, back to the videos I've watched. I want to talk about two of them. One, I don't mean to gloss over this, but I want to focus a little bit more on another one. Guy from Just Bluefish. I'll put a link to it in the description. He posted up. This had to have been difficult for him to make. So he posted up a very personal, sharing a lot of personal things with his own life and loved ones regarding mental health. I'm not gonna like pick it apart and explain what he explained, because I do have some experience with what he's talking about, but you need to just go watch his video. When I watched it earlier, I know it had been out a little bit, but it did not have a ton of views. That video needs more views. That's just anybody that is in definitely in the watch hobby. I think, you know, slow down, take a breath, watch that video, and, you know, think about it, reflect on it a little bit. Maybe it applies to you. It definitely applies to somebody you know. And then, you know, do whatever you will with it. But great video. He did a phenomenal job on that. Okay, now, way more lighthearted. I want to talk about a video that I watched recently that Jeff McMahon did, where he talked about his conversations with his buddy Carlos, which I've met Carlos. I think actually Jeff and I took a picture together with Carlos. He was at Mimo's Jewelry last year. I think it was last year. And hopefully they'll both be at this meetup at the end of August this year, so we can you know, meet up again and have a good time. I think there's a sheriff behind me too. Jeff was talking, you know, about his conversation with Carlos about, they basically said that, you know, they don't want to, they shouldn't sell their watches anymore. They shouldn't sell their watches, meaning that if you wanted the watch enough that you bought it, then why would you sell it? Just, you know, just keep the watch. So that's like tripping me out, because that's like the same truck that passed me a little bit ago. Remember that scene in Super Troopers where they like kind of go by him, and the next thing you know they're behind them again, and then they pull him over? I kind of want that to happen. I don't know, that would like relive that scene in Super Troopers. I love that movie. But I'm not doing anything illegal, so I don't think that's gonna happen. So anyway, I don't know that I necessarily agree with not selling a watch. I think there's always going to be a circumstance where selling a watch is justified. I'm not going to go through those and list those. You'll know those when the time comes. I don't think you want to hold yourself to, you know, committing to ownership of any possession item, definitely a watch, which is a luxury item, period. I don't care what price point it is. I love seeing these signs too. We'll see these too, like the horse and buggy. That means there's like Amish living people in the area, and that's up and down, like in my area, in further south in the middle of Michigan too. And it's very cool to go into those communities and do their stores. So I've done some shopping at a lot of those places. So anyway, back to the video about selling. Yeah, I think for me, and I think a lot of people I know, it's part of a process, it's part of a journey, not necessarily stepping up in different tiers or price points or quality or whatever you want to justify them as. I think just experiencing different watches for whatever your reason is a valid thing to do in the hobby. And if that means you need to sell a watch to fund another purchase, then do it. I don't think there's any problem with that. You know, if you're going to do that and then you're going to start doing rebuys, once you start entering into rebuys, you might want to really examine the whole concept of it, because if you start doing rebuys, then maybe you should keep that watch. Don't sell that one again, because I've done it. I know Jeff's done it. and I know a lot of other people have done it. This is not the first Sinn 104 I've owned. It's the first white dial one I've owned. So, you know, you can say that's like different and everything, and yeah, it's a different colorway, but it's kind of the same watch too. So I'm not gonna sell this watch. Like, it's the Sinn 104. I know I love them. I know it's not perfect. I know it has quirks, but it belongs in my collection. And whatever your comfort level is for the size of your collection, that's a personal thing as well. It could be 3 watches. It's probably not one, or it's not really a collection, but it could be 3 watches, 12 watches, Jeff mentioned, or, you know, like myself and some other people, it might be 100 plus watches. And yeah, things get a little different as you crest past, I think, 20. Then the next one, you know, once you get like above 40, then you start flirting with that 50. Things get a little different. You have to organize things different. You have to be concerned with storage, and then you struggle with giving certain watches wrist time. So then you start to struggle with justify even owning that watch, and then maybe that is a reason to sell some watches. Maybe it's to reduce because you've exceeded your comfort level with the size of your collection. Completely understandable. I met up with a guy recently, my wife, for a drink, just a random encounter. He smiled, we made eye contact. I looked down at his wrist and I'm like, hey, what are you wearing? And he was wearing his name is Joe, and he was wearing a ceramic case Tudor Black Bay. Love that watch. I ended up taking a picture. I was wearing my Unimatic Exquisite Timepieces limited edition at the time, and they both really looked good together. And we got to talking, and he's kind of he was struggling with the same thing. He's moved up, you know, like he's got an IWC and a Tudor, and you know, he's looking at Breguet and some others, you know, these brands that I'm not messing with. And then he has some like lower tier, but they're more like mid tier, you know, like $1,200-$1,500 watches that he's like, I should sell these. And then he goes through that process, but then he puts it on and he goes, I'm only gonna get like $600 or $700 for this watch. Why would I sell it? And he likes wearing it, but he just doesn't wear it a lot. So it's like a little struggle. It's a little internal struggle that some people deal with. And you know, you'll do that a few times, and then you'll either re-fall in love with that watch and be like, nah, I'm keeping it. Or you'll do that a few times and you'll go like, it's time to go. And collectively, you gather up 3 or 4 of them, you take them into, you know, Exquisite or wherever, whoever, you know, will buy them, or you sell them in your social media group, or you reach out to me and I'll help you, you know, get rid of it. I don't charge to do it. If I can help you find, oh, that's bad luck. Wait, that wasn't black. That was not a full black. That was a calico. I saw a little bit of calico in it. I think we're good. That was not bad luck. Okay, so not that I'm superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. So, you know, it's just a process. It's all about comfort zones. I've been uncomfortable with luxury watches, then completely comfortable. I've been uncomfortable with a ton of watches, and now look at me, like I'm desensitized to it, and I have like, I say I got rid of all my luxury watches, but what I might not consider luxury, you might, and vice versa. You know, I have many watches that are over $1,000. Personally, I dismiss them, but I also recognize that those are definitely entry-level luxury watches. $1,000 is a lot of money to spend on a watch. I mean, it might not be a lot of money when you look how much it costs to put a set of tires on a car, and I mean, it's still a lot of money, but you guys know what I'm saying. It's a lot of money to have parked on your wrist when you have 100 other watches, and some of them are also in that price point. And you can easily like sell all of those and fund like an Omega or a Breitling or a Tudor or something like that, which was, you know, just a nicer watch. But, you know, it's not what I want to do. So I think I babbled long enough. If you watch this long, you know, please, I don't ask this much, but to, you know, like and subscribe and all that crap. I usually don't ask that, but you know what? Listen, I'm getting close to 80,000 subscribers. I'm doing a nice giveaway at 80,000. I'm gonna do another you know, multiple giveaways as I progress that ladder and hopefully crawl my way to that 100,000. So if you appreciate my content, and even if you don't appreciate my content, and maybe you hate my content, but you like watching it because you just like to hate me, just interact. Let's feed the algorithm a little bit. Let's help get me to a point where I can do more, because I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's difficult for me to say this, but I recognize what I've done for the community that I'm in, and I'm proud of that, right? So I think it's okay for me to say that and acknowledge that. I think it's healthy, but that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. So thanks for watching, guys. I got to get home. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.